So hello and welcome to today's class. It's called Half Moon Rising and it's a beginner class, advanced beginner class. So Half Moon is a very demanding pose. It requires a lot of core activation and some glutes. So yeah, I'm here in Sardinia and it's a little bit muggy. So if I'm a little bit out of breath, please bear with me. I try my very best. So this class is designed to use 2 blocks. I only have 1 block with me, so I will advise you whenever I think it's beneficial for you to use 2 blocks. So, but I will work with 1 block. So first thing is we will come onto our backs and just feel the triple S, you know, the back of the skull, your shoulder blades and your sacrum and the top of the sacrum. So then you take your block, you lift your pelvis and bring the block the thinnest way underneath your sacrum. Place your hands on your ASISs and then slowly begin to rock forward and back, like between 12 and 6 o'clock. So mini cat-cow, so to say, just to get a feeling for your anterior and posterior tilt and to make it easier for you to find neutral. So now find your neutral. Bring your fingers in your hip crease. This is when here are your ISs and like 2 fingers beneath there is your hip crease. Press your fingers in there and start to march just to find that hip crease. For half moon, especially if you want your half moon to rise up at the sky so that it finds its orbit, you need to know where you are in time and space. So just start to march and just feel the difference between the right and the left hip crease. Maybe there is no difference at all, but this helps you to find neutral not only between 12 and 6 o'clock, but also between 3 and 9 o'clock, which is between your right and left ASIS. So from here, come back, dial your feet out, find your triple S with with the back of the skull, the shoulder blades, and the back of your sacrum, which is now on the block, and lift up into a low bridge, not too high. Remove the block here, put it to the side. Keep your fingers in the hip crease and walk your right foot a little bit to the middle of the mat and start to march here. Place your left foot a little bit in the middle. It's a little bit easier to march here, but you can feel the difference in the demand of your glute and your core, of course. The core is working like crazy to keep you stable here. So if I do this weird motions with my hands and feet, there are a lot of flies and ants and stuff. So yeah, the perks of teaching outside. Stay in the lower bridge, walk your feet hip distance apart, and bring your hands up to the sky as if you are carrying a plate. We do some wrist opener. So we spend a little time on our wrist. So grab your left fingers with your right hand and don't forget the thumb and gently pull towards you, whereas the heel of your hand is pushing towards the sky. And lift your toes, press the ball of your feet into the mat and start to pulse slowly. Keep your neutral pelvis, what you felt on the block. It's not that you're tipping here in this cat and cow move. You just stay stable in your lower back. Your front is supporting the lower back to make it long and full of space. And you should feel your glutes working, maybe even your hamstrings. If you feel your hamstrings or if you feel any pain or pinch in your knees, just walk your feet a little bit away from you. And if you feel it too much in your hamstrings, walk the feet a little bit closer. So then switch hands. Grab your right fingers with your left hand. Don't forget the thumb. Bring down your toes, spread them far apart, and then start segmentally to lower down onto your mat. Inhale into a cow. Come back into your cat on the top of your sacrum and lift up into your lower bridge. And repeat. Do the same. Just to really mobilize the spine at first, and to activate the glutes, to get them fired up, and so that they support you in your half moon. We are working towards half moon today, and we will open the hips a little bit. We will rotate them inward and outward, like the waxing and waning moon. So the half moon is either waxing or waning. So you decide in which phase you will be today. And with the last lower down, come down. And bring your hands left and right, your pelvis, and just enjoy the feeling of probably already more space, more fire, more mobility in your spine. So bring your hands behind your head, interlace the fingers, and bring the elbows in front of or beside your temples, and find this triple S here. Dial the feet out, and with the exhale, lift up. And press the top of your sacrum into the mat. It's not like you're lifting your tailbone. It's really the top of your sacrum into the mat. And the elbows are reaching towards the thigh, not towards the legs or back behind, just here. And with the inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift up. And also the top of your head, and the head is pressing back into your hands. And lower down. With the inhale, with the exhale, lift your shoulder blades away from the mat. Top of your sacrum is in the mat, and then lift your left knee over your hip joint. Place your foot down, and with the inhale, lower down. Exhale, lift up. Bring your right knee over your hip, and bring your elbows towards the sky. The back of the head is pressing into your hands. And then lower down. And with the inhale, bring your head down. And we are adding something. Lift up. Bring your knee over your left hip, your left knee over your left hip. And then from the rib cage, you can grab with your right hand your left rib cage. Turn from the strength of your obliques to the left, so that the right elbow is pointing towards the left corner of your universe. Come back, bring down the left leg and come down. Inhale, lift your shoulder blades. Bring your right knee over your hip. Grab, if you want to, with your left hand, your right rib cage, and then turn from the ribs, here, from your obliques to the right. It's just a small amount, maybe 1 inch, maybe 1.5 inch, not too much. And then come back, bring your foot down, and with the inhale, lay down. Adding something, preparing to rise. Rise up. With the exhale, lift your left knee, and then externally rotate. Bring your left heel over your right knee, and then come back and bring down the left foot and lower down. Exhale, right knee. Bring your right knee over your hip, and then externally rotate. Bring your right heel over, hovering over your left knee. And come back. Once again, inhale, lift your shoulder blades away. Bring your left knee over your left hip. And now straighten that left leg and now externally rotate without moving in the pelvis and internally rotate. Externally rotate and internally rotate. Once again, externally and internally. And then come back to neutral, bring your left leg down and lower down. Oh, second side. Inhale, lift your shoulder blades off the mat. Bring your right knee over your hip. Straighten your right knee. It can be bent, but take care that the knee is over your hip. And then external rotate, internal rotate. We need this mobility in the hip joint without moving the pelvis for our half moon. And then come back to neutral. Bring your right foot down, lower down. And then bring your feet mat distance apart. Bring your arms in goal post. Or if this is uncomfortable for you, you can for sure straighten them out and bring them a little bit lower. So I have a little space here. I used goal post. And then bring your knees to the left. And press the inner side, the inner edge of your right foot into the mat. You can place your left hand onto your hip bone, your right hip bone. And if it helps, manual feedback is always a good idea. Poke you in the right glute so that the right glute is pushing from behind into your left hand. And you can turn your head from rock your head from right to left, from side to side, just to release the neck a little bit. Especially in the beginning, in our reset, we tend to use our neck to lift up off the mat. So if this is happening to you, it's really hard for the neck, and this should feel really, really good. And come back to the middle and switch sides. Go post the arms again. Your knees are pointing towards the right. Bring your right hand on the left ASIS and poke yourself into your left glute. And just to make them awake if they are not already. And then rock your head from side to side. Just slowly, not too fast. So nice. Our second set of abdominals, come back to the middle, is something I really, really like. You can bring your hands beside on the side of your pelvis. You can keep them in goal post, but bring the knees over your hips and together. You can use the block if this is easier for you. For me, sometimes it's easier to use a block between the knees, the thinnest way. And then bring your move your pubis bone through the navel to the navel so that the top of your sacrum is on the mat, not here in the anterior tilt or the other way around, that the knees are too close to your chest. Really, to measure, you can use the middle of your palm on your knees, and you have a nice 90-degree angle. So from here, rock your knees on the rim of your sacrum to the right, only as far as you can keep it without falling to the right, and come back to the middle and rock them to the left. It's wonderful for the obliques, really easy, not too easy, but it's in your hand how far you go, or if you're losing it. Take care. It's not a question of how far you can go down. It's a question how far you can keep control over the movement. So, and in the metaphor of the half moon, the gravity, the moon is always in control over its orbit because of gravity, because of seasons, because of the universe itself. 2 more times on each side. You should already feel your obliques, your rectus abdominis, and your transverse muscles here and keeping. And you can always keep your hands beside your pelvis without losing here the core container. So come back to the middle, remove the block if you use it, and bring your knees close and just rock around the sacrum in one direction, and just notice in which direction you start to rock first. Is it counterclockwise? Is it clockwise? So this tells you just something. It informs you. It informs you. So from here, rock to your favorite side. For me, it depends. Today it's the front. We're coming into our quadruped, and of course you can always stay in quadruped no matter what we do instead of dolphin or down dog. Just here, quadruped. Make sure your wrists are under your shoulders, and you can put the top of your feet down if this is comfortable. But make sure that the knees are not too far behind it. Like we were when we were on our back, the knees are straight under your hip joints. Dial the hands out as we did with the feet, and inhale into cat. No, cow, sorry, excuse me. And exhale into cat. Inhale into cow. The neck is straight and long, nice and long. And exhale into cat. So of course you can come into neutral, and of course you can stay here for the next pose. If you want to come with me, bring your forearms down. The elbows are under your shoulders here, and do a cat and cow here, just to feel the difference in between the movement of the shoulder blades and the spine. It's a little bit more restricted. And find your neutral. Bring the top of the balls of your feet onto your mat, and pubis to the navel, and lift up into dolphin. Of course, you can interlace the fingers. You can put a block between your hands, or you can come into down dog. This is fine as well, if dolphin is not in your practice yet. Keep your knees bent and just shift your weight into your shoulders. Lift out of your armpits and relax the head. Shake your head to the right and to the left, and walk your right foot a little bit in. Lift your left leg and bend the knee. And here just a little external and internal rotation, what we did in our reset, and just to mobilize that hip. We need that for our half moon to rise or to wane. It depends. And bring your left foot down, lift your right leg, bend your right leg, and externally and internally rotate the right hip joint without moving the pelvis. Keep the pelvis stable. We are moving in the hip joint. This is where we need, and the left hip joint, the left hip is stabilizing now, and you should feel it on the outer edge of your left hip. And then bring your right foot down, and no matter where you are, bring your feet, your knees in a wide-legged child's pose, and sit back. Your hands are on the pinky edge of your hand, and you press down. It's not like you're sinking in. And you can always use a block under your forehead to make it a little bit more accessible for you. Press down and into the pinky edge. And if you feel something in your shoulder, some discomfort, just broaden, just make your hands a little bit wider. And here you can rock on your third eye, just to activate your vision, so you can see the big picture. You can get out of your own little universe and see the entire universe. And slowly come up. Keep your block at the front of your mat, And come at the top of your mat for our sun salutation. 1. 1. Always nice to look out and to roll the shoulders. Bring your hands on your lower belly, with the heels of your hand on your ASISs. And make sure you find that neutral, what we found on our back when we did the reset. The feet are slightly apart, approximately 2 fists apart. So, and then inhale. And bring your fingers in that hip crease where we did the marching. Shift your butt back, but keep your weight in the balls of your feet. Use your block or blocks. I pretend I have 2 blocks. And step the right foot back. And just stay here and rock a little bit back and forth to treat your plantar fascia. And also the right glute is active. Now, if putting down the knee is not in your range or you have knee issues, you can always stay in a high crescent. I will do the first round in high crescent. So bend your right knee, your right glute is very active, and lift up. Neutral pelvis and bring your arms up. I will do the second round with the knee down. You can always stay here. Bring your arms down and roll the shoulders. Right glute is working. Inhale. Bring your hands down. You can always use the blocks. Since I only have one, I use my fingertips. Use the blocks on whichever height you need to. And then walk back into plank. And stay here. Bring down the knees and pull the knees against the resistance of the mat towards your hands. Dial the hands out. And if you want, your neck is nice and long. If you want to, you can do a little bend. The elbows are pointing back, whereas the shoulder blades are wrapping from behind, like 2 hands from behind your rib cage. Then straighten your arms, straighten the legs without losing the pelvis, and come back into your down dog. Bend your knees, your hands can be on your blocks, and just walk it out a little bit. Without lifting your hands, bring your right foot forward. And again, you can be on fingertips, you can be on blocks. Bring your right thumb in your hip crease, bend your back leg, and rise up into a high crescent. The back leg can be bent like crazy. The most important thing in sun salutations or in a practice is the neutral pelvis and the triple S. And then lift your arms. Make yourself long. The left glute is working. Just poke yourself to check in with yourself. And then let your arms dangle and roll the shoulders. And then fold forward. Keep your core engaged. Come onto your blocks or your fingertips. Step the left foot to meet the right. Again, you can be on your blocks here. And then push into the balls of your feet and lift up. Second round. Exhale. Step your left foot back and lower your knee. If you have problems, you can always place a block underneath your knee and lift up. Lift your arms, And the left glute is now working. Now bring your left hand on top of your right knee, leg, and the right hand behind it, and push away as if you want to push the thigh bone, the femur away, and you should feel something in your in your left glute maximus and something in front. It's a hip opener, and we need an open hip to rise our half moon later on in this flow. And then bring both hands either on your blocks, on fingertips, or flat down. Come into plank. Remove the block, of course. And bring down the knees. If you like, you can do 3 mini push-ups. Make sure that nothing changes except the bend in your elbows. Straighten the arms, straighten the legs. Lift into down dog. And then step your left foot forward. Place the block underneath your right knee. And lift up. Now the right hand is on top of your left thigh and the left hand behind it, and you push away. You should feel it in the front of your right hip, and your right glute is working like crazy. And then lean forward. Make sure you fold your hinge in your hip joint and so that the spine stays long and nice. And then step the right foot to meet the left. Bend your knees. You can always, that's an annoying fly here. Always on your blocks, nice and long, and then lift up. Let's start for our sequence 1. Bring your hands in your hip crease. Fold forward, hinge in the hips, and you can use again your 2 blocks. Step your right foot back and stay here. Fingertip lunge. If you don't use blocks, stay on your fingertips and just rock a little bit forward and back, and then tap the knee. Just tapping the knee. If you are using the blocks, you are here. Nothing changes, it's just the right leg that taps. And like in our sun salutation A, just place the block underneath your right knee and come into a 90-90, lift your arms. Remember that feeling when we pushed away our femur. And now lower your left arm. Both hands are moving away from each other and you lean towards the left for a nice side bend to open the side seam of your body. Your neck is nice and relaxed. And come back into down dog. Remove the block. Again, use the blocks underneath your hands if this is more comfortable for you. And walk it out a little bit. And then step your right foot forward without lifting your hands, no matter where they are, on fingertips. Come on fingertips or be on your blocks. And then start to tap the left knee. And you see my right knee is aiming towards the right armpit. And nothing changes. The neck stays in, the spine stays in triple S. Spine nice and long. For our hamstring stretch, for half moon to rise, we need our hamstring to be flexible. And then bring the block underneath your left knee, just to make it a little bit more comfortable. And rise up. Remember again this feeling of pushing away this femur. Your left glute is working. Lift your arms. And then lower down the right arm. Push the arms away and lean gently towards the right. Your right ear can sink towards your right shoulder and the left arm is in a diagonal towards the sky. And then come back and bring both hands onto the mat and come into down dog. Your hands either on blocks. If your hands are on the blocks, take them with you and walk back into a happy squat. Can be here, even with one block only. Just let your head hang down and shake it out a little bit. And then baby bear walks, if you are using blocks, of course on blocks, to the front of the mat. And press into the balls of your feet and bring your hands in front of your heart. Inhale, sun salutation 1 round. Fold forward. You can always use your blocks. Step your right foot back And step your left foot back into plank. Bring down your knees, pull them towards your hands. You can always add some mini push-ups. And in the mini push-up, neutral spine, and then think of a cobra. Press the arms back and then straighten the legs. Come back into your down dog. Come into a high kneeling. You can bring your hands on your glutes. Sorry, excuse me. Then step your right foot forward. Bring your hands on your thigh and come into a high crescent. The left foot meet the right. Inhale. Exhale. Sit back, but with the weight in the balls of your feet. Then step your left foot back, step your right foot back, come into plank. Lower your knees, this is different, and straight. Lower your knees without changing in the pelvis and in the spine or in your neck. Lower the knees and straighten, and then push back. Push into the knuckles of your hand, of your palm, into down dog. Bring both knees onto the mat, come into high kneeling. Use the manual feedback on your glutes. Inhale, and then step the left foot forward. Bring both hands, the right hand in front of the left. Remember that pushing away. Come into a high crescent and lift your arms. Bring your hands on your pelvis. Step the right foot to meet the left. Inhale. And with the exhale, I need to change this one. Yeah. We're starting off our sequence, our second sequence, the same way. Step the right foot back. Again, use the blocks. Feel free to use the blocks here. Bend your right knee and lift up into a high crescent again. Bring your hands in front of your chest, and your thumbs are touching your sternum. Your shoulder blades are wrapping from behind your rib cage. And then slowly turn, press the heels of your palms together and turn to the left without moving in the pelvis. It's not here that we're moving, it's really the thoracic rotation. And to the left, come back to neutral, to the left. We need this open hip, we need one leg in extension for our half moon to rise into this orbit, into our universe. And your right glute is stabilizing and lengthening the front body. And stay on the left, lean forward, there is your block. Use whichever height you need for your twisted crescent. Bring your left hand, the heel of your left hand where the hairline starts, and push with the back of your skull into this left hand. Your right shoulder is over your right wrist. The right glute is really working. Mine is a little bit snoozy today. And lean into your right shoulder blade. Dial the hand out. If you want to, you can close the book and bring the elbow towards your temple, what we did in our reset. And here a little rocking forward and back. Before we turn to the right for a side lunge to the right, use your block and stay here. Feet are parallel. Shorten the stance if you feel like that your knee is coming over your toes. And make sure that your triple S is still intact. And then just little pulses to open up this adductor of yours. The adductors have so much impact on our lower back, on our hip opening. And with the next breath, we turn to the back of our mat. Into a down, in a three-legged down dog, lift your right leg up. Hip height, and bend your knee. And then just circle around. First in one direction, and again, just notice in which direction you usually start, and maybe next time you start the other way around, just to challenge your brain. Switch directions. And with the next exhale, we come into a modified side plank. Bring your right knee under your hip. You can kickstand your right foot a little bit if this is more comfortable, but make sure that the knee is not too far behind your hip, otherwise the knee will feel some discomfort. So now bring your left hand on your rib cage, what we did in our reset, and the outer edge of your left foot is down for a side plank. Now lean into your right shoulder blade and bring this right hip forward and lift your left elbow. And again, bring the heel of the hand to your hairline. And if you are stable and if you want to go for it, just lift your left leg and pulse. So to do something for our left gluteus medius, and the right hip is stabilizing. So this is basically a half moon just on a knee. So you feel free to stay here and work on this neutral spine and neutral pelvis. With the next exhale, we come into our quadruped. Just for a little cat-cow. Go into in your own pace. And find your neutral. Now bring your knees together like there is no space for a sheet of paper here. And bring your feet out to the edges of your mat. So we are in an internal rotation. If you have your two blocks with you, use them. I will use my fingertips. We now lift up into a Mary Malasana. So lift up like you're going into a down dog. Turn your heels in and walk back on your fingertips. Here. Feel free to pulse a little bit. You should feel it on the inside of your thighs, the adductors again. We come forward again into this internally rotated quadruped. Inhale into cow. Exhale into cat. And push back into this Mary Malasana. And I love these pulses. So nice for the inner side of the thighs. Again, come into this quadruped with internally rotated legs. Inhale into cow. And exhale into cat. One last time. Happy Malasana. Take your blocks with you. Really long, really long, really long. And then tiptoe your feet together. Use your block and stay here for a happy, happy squat. Before we turn to the left, now we are cross-ankled. Use your blocks the highest setting and just shimmy your hips from left to right. Oh, this is so nice for the thoracolumbar fascia area, which is usually super tight from all the sitting in front of our computers, in the car, at the table. Now sort your feet, hip distance apart. Bring your hands, your fingers in your hip crease and rise up. Second side, inhale. The perks of the second side, we know what's coming. Exhale. And then step your left foot back. Use your block for a high crescent. Bend your left leg. Make sure your pelvis is neutral. Bring your hands in front of your chest. The thumbs are on your sternum. And then with the exhale, turn to the right and back. Turn to the right and back. Turn to the right. We did it 5 times, I think. And turn to the right. Stay here. Lean forward for your twisted crescent. Use your block. Organize your feet. Your left shoulder over your left wrist. And then pull your right elbow up. Left glute is working. And the left hand is dialed out. And you lean into your left shoulder blade. Bring your hand at the hairline and push your head gently back into your hand to make it long. And if you did it on the other side, bring your elbow to your temples and make this side body even longer. You should feel it, the stretch around your glutes into your sit bone. Side lunge to the left. We hold it here. Again, shorten your stance if you feel like your knee is going too far over the toes. Stay in your triple S, head is back, and then gently pulse here. I could stay in side lunges forever. And with the next exhale, we turn to the left into our three-legged down dog with the left leg lifts. Bend your leg and then start to circle your hip without moving the pelvis. It's just the femur in the pelvis which is moving. And we are using our gluteus medius and maximus on the right to stabilize, mainly the medius, and switch direction, sorry. And on the left side, medius and maximus to perform this circling action. Modified side plank. Bring your left knee under your left hip. You can kickstand the left foot and lower down your right heel and pull up your right elbow. Make sure you are not in anterior tilt and your rib cage is not flaring. Just pull the pubis towards your navel. Bring the hands behind your head, and if you did it on the other side, just lift your right leg and pulse. Right gluteus medius is working hard, and the left one is equally working hard to stabilize this modified side plank. With the exhale, quadruped. Inhale into cat, cow. Exhale into cat. I never can make it right. Cow and cat. And now bring your knees close together with the feet out at the outer edge of your mat. And lift up into your Merry Malasana. Feet are turning in. The heels are turning in, and you are leaning back into your glutes, but the weight is in the balls of your feet. Little pulses. And with the inhale, come forward into this quadruped with internally rotated legs, thighs, cow and cat. Maybe I should start in cat. Lift up into this happy squat again. Little pulses. Make sure that the knees are pointing towards the second toe. And then one last time. Cow and cat. Cow and cat. And then lift one last time up. Bring your blocks with you. One last Merry Malasana. And then tiptoe your feet together for this happy squat. Let your head dangle. So nice. Then turn to the right. We are in our cross-legged forward fold, and shimmy your pelvis to reach the areas in your lower back to free them up. And then organize your feet hip distance apart, and bring your thumbs or your fingers in your hip crease and push to the balls of your feet and rise up. Bring your hands in front of your heart. And one short third sequence. Inhale. Bring your hands behind your back, interlace the fingers and the thumbs on your sacrum and hinge forward. So the block is close, elbows are pointing up towards the sky. Bring the block underneath your left shoulder and shift the weight onto your left leg. Your right hand is on your sacrum and then lift up. the right leg, and then push out of this left hip joint like we did in the side plank. Externally rotate this left hip joint and pull the right arm up. Your first half moon is rising. Yes, you can always keep your right hand here to make sure, or on your belly, and then open up into goddess. Lift your toes and then bend your knees. Bring your hands in your hip crease and then simply pulse a little bit. How was your first half moon? Isn't it nice when something like this happens just because? And not only because we prepared the body. So turn to the back of your mat for a seated twist. Your left knee is coming at the outside of your right leg, right foot. Turn to your right. You can stretch out your bottom leg and then simply side bend to the left and to the right, to the left and to the right. Now bring your hands to your left and turn 270 so that you are back at the front of your mat. The right foot meets the left and rise up. Bring your hands behind your back, interlace the fingers, maybe this round, the other way around so that it feels awkward. The thumbs are on your sacrum. Now bend the knees, pull the pubis towards the navel and then hinge forward. The weight is in the balls of your feet. Bring the block to the right side for your half moon on the right leg. Now it's not a surprise anymore, right? And dial the hand out. And you're moving out of your armpits like in down dog, and then lift your left leg, first in some kind of standing split, and then push away through the right ball of the foot and turn your pelvis towards the left. You can always bend the knee, and you can always use your left hand to stabilize the right knee from the inside. Yeah, just to give the leg a little bit boundary, because as soon as it points towards the left, you will lose your balance. Stabilize your knee and push out of the right hip joint in external rotation, and the left foot is pushing away from you, not behind. You see how I'm struggling, but away from you. And if you like, you can pull the left arm elbow open and the left, or maybe even straighten it. And now open into goddess. Lift your toes just to find your external rotation. Make sure that everything is neutral, and simply pulse. That was hard on your right leg, so it's awesome to give it a break. We turn to the back of the mat for our seated twist. Like in a high crescent, bring your right knee on the outside of the left foot. You can always put down your hand and, of course, straighten out your leg if needed. And then side bend to the left and to the right. Make sure that both sit bones are on the mat. I could do this forever. Oh my gosh. I put all my favorite moves here. Now we turn to the front of the mat. Again, use the block if this is really, really tight for you. And bring your left foot to the front and get up. You can grab something to drink, and we put it all together into our stream. Again, use the blocks whenever you need. And we start in Tadasana. Everything's neutral. Feet are slightly hip distance apart. Inhale. Bring your hands to the hips and step your right foot back into a high crescent. Yeah. And roll the shoulders. So nice. Lift your right arm up, side bend to the left. Come back and open into Warrior Two. You can turn your left foot a little bit to the right so that if your left hip just can't open 180 degrees, mine can't, both of mine. Just Warrior Two. Make sure everything is neutral. Shorten the stance if you find yourself here. Shorten the stance. And then inhale, and with the exhale, reverse your warrior. Inhale, Warrior Two. Exhale, Warrior Variation. Make yourself long. Pull your pubis towards the navel. Inhale. Warrior Two. One last time. Reverse Warrior. And Warrior Two. And now your block is in front of your mat. You can either stay here or bring your hand onto your right hip, grab your block for another half moon, and this time full rising. It's not a full moon. Here, you can always stabilize your left knee to give you a little bit more balance. And then, of course, you can pulse if you want to, or you pull your elbow up, you straighten your arms. Windmill to the bottom of your mat. Take your block with you for a three-legged down dog. Right leg lifts. Bend your knees and pull the knee towards your chest. Excuse me. And now open in a fire hydrant pose your right hip and close. Fire hydrant and close. Your pelvis is not moving. With the next exhale, come into your modified side plank. Kickstand your right foot if needed. Lower down your heel and pull your left elbow up. If you feel ready, lift your left leg and grab your ankle for a quad stretch. Pubis is drawing towards the navel. It's great to have a wall behind me. And into quadruped, cow and cat. Come into neutral, lift your right arm up for thread the needle. And lay down your head. You can always use your block and put your head on the block. If your shoulder doesn't have to go down, but maybe you want to stretch out your left arm. And your pubis is drawing towards the navel. Everything is active and drawn together to stabilize, to create that space. You know, a half moon is a convex and concave shape. So it feels like we are creating a concave shape on our back. Okay, place your left hand back into quadruped. And lift into a crouching down dog. Knees to the left, knees to the right. Knees to the left, and knees to the right. Now walk back, take your blocks with you. Here. And lift your right leg into a standing split. And just think of a cobra before you bring your right foot behind your left ankle. So we are in the cross-legged forward fold. You can shimmy again and then turn to the right. And we are in a happy squat. Now straighten your right leg, bend your left leg and lift your right arm. Your left ear is falling towards the left shoulder. A fly under my nose. And come back. And lift up. Inhale. Second side. You are doing so great. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Wrong sequence. Inhale. Bring your hands to your hips and step your left foot back into a high crescent. And lift your arms. Let it dangle and roll your shoulders. Almost forgot this yummy move. Lift your arms and we open into a warrior two. Again, your left toes can point a little bit towards the left. Your right toes can point towards the left. Inhale, make yourself long. Pelvis stays neutral and open up into a reverse warrior. And you see this is also a shape like a half moon. Inhale and warrior variation. You can always keep your hands on your hips or poke yourself to make sure that your glutes are working. Then rise up from the strength of your core into your warrior two and reverse your warrior. And one last time, warrior variation. Again, you can stay here. Draw your pubis towards the navel or bring your hand on your left hip. Grab your block on the highest setting. Shift your weight into your right foot and lift into another half moon. Your right leg has still a little bend in it. Use your left hand to stabilize. And if you stay strong and stable and high up in your orbit, pull your left elbow towards the sky and maybe even straighten out your left arm. But most importantly, push out of your hip joint. You get taller. A half moon rising is tall and high up on the highest point of its orbit. Now take your block with you. We windmill to the bomb for a three-legged down dog. Now with the left leg up, hip distance, bend your left knee and pull it towards your chest without changing a thing in your spine or in your pelvis. And now fire hydrant move and come back. Fire hydrant, come back. One last time. Fire hydrant, come back, and we meet in modified side plank. Again, you can kickstand your left foot, bring your right heel down, pull up your right elbow, make sure that the pubis is drawing toward the navel to make space here in your lower back. Your right hand can be on your hip bone, and then lift that leg. You can stay here and pulse, or you can grab your right ankle if you feel it. Pubis is still drawing towards the navel. Your rib cage is closed, and your core container contains the energy without leaking. And quadruped. Inhale into cow. Exhale, cat. Come into neutral. Thread the needle. Push the mat away out of your armpit and lift your left arm. Oh, so good. And you can use the block under your head, or you bring the head down and your shoulder, if this is in your practice, and reach out the the right hand over your ear, and pubis is still drawing towards the navel like this concave shape of this half moon, who is now at its peak. And now it's either waning or waxing to full on new moon. And then place your right hand under your right shoulder, come back and push back into this crouching dog. Knees to the right, knees to the left. We have so many nerve ends in the sole of our feet, so this is a nice little massage as well. Not only mobilization and flexibilization of our plantar fascia. It's a trigger. There are so many trigger points. Now walk back. Don't forget your blocks. Walk back into happy squat. Block on the high, or blocks if you use two. Block on the highest setting. Now shift your weight into your right foot. Your triple S in action, and then lift your left leg into a standing split. Think of a cobra. The shoulder blades, like two hands, are wrapping from behind, as if you got your own back, you know. And stay here. The right leg can be bent as much as needed. And then bring your left ankle behind the right for our cross ankle forward fold. And then turn to the left. And we are in a happy squat. Straighten your left leg, bend your right leg. And your right shoulder is over your right wrist on the block. Highest setting. And then pull up the left arm. And the pubis is again moving towards the navel. Not like you're going round here, but leaning into your right shoulder blade. The right ear is falling towards the right shoulder. You can look down. And then come here. And you've made it. Come onto your back for a quick warm down. Like in the beginning, bring your hands on the right and the left of your pelvis. And then lift your left knee over your hip. Interlace your fingers behind your thigh. And then press with your thigh, with your hamstring into your hands. The left foot is very, very active. Spread your toes and slowly. The top of your sacrum is still on the mat. Slowly, slowly you can straighten out that right leg. You can stay here, or if your extension in the right hip joint, it should be now a little bit more open, straighten out that right leg and push into your hands with the thigh. It's not that we bring the knee towards the chest. It's really, we want to move the thigh away from the body. And then straighten that leg and do the same. And then bring that right foot in for a figure four, quick one. Arms in goal post, and without using your hands, bring your right knee in, and you should feel it in the outer left hip. I like to internally and externally rotate my now right leg, and just notice the difference in the left hip joint when you do that. And we switch sides. Bring your left foot down. Grab behind your right hamstring and maybe interlace the fingers the wrong way and push into the hands. The top of your sacrum is on the mat, and then slowly start to straighten out without losing the neutral pelvis and spine, your triple S. Maybe your left leg cannot straighten at all. So my recommendation is to do both sides the same way. So since I straightened my right leg, I straighten out this one. It's not. Yes. And the top of the sacrum is pressing down, yeah. And the right thigh is moving away. Shoulder blades are wrapping from behind to the rib cage. Now straighten that right leg and push away. Keep that when you'll bring your left foot in, bend your leg for a figure four, arms in goal post, and bring your left knee towards your chest. And again, I like to do this internally, externally rotation, because it makes a difference in my hips. And then bring both knees to your chest. Give yourself a hug. You can add, let me see, you can add a twist here. Grab your elbows and slowly roll to the right. And you see I removed my left hand, but I'm tight here, the knees are at the chest. And I open up into a goal post with my left, and the head is rolling towards the left. And of course you can stay here as long as you like, But we switch sides before we go to Shavasana. Bring your knees into your chest, grab your elbows, and then slowly roll onto your left side. Keep the left arm where it is. Your knees are not on the ground, and open with your right arm. You can also straighten out the arm or put it down. I like the goalpost because it's a nice chest opener here. And when you're ready, come back and prepare for your Shavasana. You can put 2 blocks under your calves or a bolster under your knees, or simply put the legs mat distance apart and your knees are coming together. And then inhale and exhale. You can press pause and stay in Shavasana as long as you like. For the time's sake of this video, I ask you to keep your eyes closed and bring your knees to your chest again. And roll onto your favorite side and come to a seated position. Bring your hands to your heart. And I want to thank you for practicing with me today and for coming with me on the exploration of Half Moon. It's a demanding pose and you did very well. And I hope you had some fun and some insights in today's practice. I wish you a great day, a happy time. Until next time, namaste.